we are here with another episode at Viral Pallet. I'm Born Nemati. I'm here with Mr. Yunus Fat. And we have a special guest, my good friend, the founder and CEO of Designity, taxi driver, party guy, real estate man.
Appreciate it, man. There are more. You could keep going.
Shahrouz Varshabi.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you for coming. I know you're busy. How's everything, my friend?
Oh man, it's Friday night, so
Friday, I know.
it's good.
Yeah?
It's super busy and fun. No complaint, honestly. Yeah.
So tell us about yourself a little bit, your background. What is Designity?
Sure. That was just 10 questions right off the bat.
I know.
Okay, so telling about myself. So I'm originally from Iran, and you guys know the situation over there. I've been in the States for 12 years now, actually. And I came here to get my master's degree because I had to. I honestly didn't like education at all, and I don't recommend to anyone to go to a school or get a master's degree unless you have some extra money to waste. But for me, it was the only way to make it to the US. And before I come to the US, I studied graphic design, and I was trying different things in my early 20s. I worked as a taxi driver for some time, actually, as well.
Back home?
Yeah, back home. I had a very beautiful orange Paycon.
The classic one.
Yeah, it was great. That was the first car I bought, and I started driving around on the side while I was working as a freelance designer, and I had a lot of good memories from that time. Especially, obviously, there was no social media, not much that you could do with the internet. Like, it would take 2 minutes to connect after like that.
I know, that was crazy.
So I had my own way to just sort of figure things out and network. And my way was basically driving around the airport, actually. And after doing it for some time, realized it's better if I drive around the VIP lounge because I could pick up successful and rich people. Yeah. And then I was getting advice on the way from them, which honestly was, I think, one of the best tactic for me. Gave me a lot of tips from people who made it. Sometimes I came across some rich douchebags as well from time to time.
What was the best advice you got from there?
So one of them, actually, which I mentioned recently, was from this guy who had a factory and making some products for someone. So once he told me, in order to start a business that is successful and you could scale it, you really need to understand your customers in and out. You need to know what they do, everything, first thing in the morning, what's their hobby, where they hang out, and so on. And by doing so, you could design your product around them in a way that becomes more sticky. And I didn't quite understand it when he said that, but as we are scaling and trying to basically make our platform more sticky, I really understand what.
So you're saying you studied graphic design.
Yes.
So that time you had a artistic mindset, or from the beginning you wanted to be a businessman?
I think from early on, I always had a business mind and trying to apply it to design. So when I started working as a graphic designer for different companies and so on, in all different situations, it resulted in something different than just working as a graphic designer. For instance, I was working for a publication company, and after a couple of months, we end up launching a series of books, and then started a company, and we had a series of books for kids between 7 to 12 years old, and so on. So along the way, I was just trying things. Some of them was successful, some was a failure, but I didn't necessarily see myself a really talented graphic designer from earlier.
And then fast forward, you moved here, and did you continue your education here?
Yeah, I mean, the only way, obviously, for Iranians to make it to the US is through higher education, and I could barely speak Farsi even, and then I had to now learn English, and it was tough, man. It was tough to just like learn English and pass the TOEFL test and all that. I truly struggled for about a year to do that, and finally I got the acceptance, and then made it to the US, and then I was like, shit, like I'm going to one of the best design school in the world. Like I went to Parsons, the new school, and
Nice.
I spent a lot of money which I didn't have, and 2 years of my life I was like, this is fucking shit, honestly. Like I feel
Really?
so bad for students. Like it's a scam to me, honestly. Education is a big scam, and it's just old dated. They just look at the numbers and the metrics. They don't necessarily care about the future of those kids. So
you're saying you can just learn everything by yourself?
I think so. Yeah, I mean, school is great for certain fields. Obviously, if you want to be a doctor, that's the way to go. But certain fields like design, I really don't think if it makes sense to go to a school for it. And there is a lot of resources that you could just learn it yourself.
So after you graduated, what happened? I mean, you start Designity after that, or you try something else?
Yes. So the idea of Designity less more was in mind for a long time, even before I come to the US. But I was more looking at it as a social network for creatives, specifically. After I got my master's and basically tried to now get a job to basically figure out my visa situation and all that, I realized how difficult it is actually for kids who graduate from college to get a job. Many of my friends end up like unemployed or underemployed for a long time, and it was very sad to me because I had huge expectations from a well-known design school, and it was not just a reality. So and that was an aha moment for me. When I saw myself and others struggling, I was like, the main reason that we are struggling is that not that they intentionally want us to just not be successful, but they are not able to move fast enough with the trends and with the marketing and design, and things that they teach is very much old-fashioned. And I was like, what if there was a platform or situation so that design students can actually work with brands before graduation, let's say 6 months, 12 months before graduation, so they can build their portfolio, they gain real world experience, they make connections, so the transition to real world would be easier. So that was the initial idea of Designity, which was that time called Designed In, by the way. And it was basically a platform for design students to gain experience.
Where you see the company in 3 to 5 years?
All right, so that's a very deep question. So I guess in order to answer that, I need to go a little bit back to just sort of like back it up. But when we basically started the platform, it was a Kickstarter campaign originally, and then raised some money, and then it became my what is this called? It became my side hustle. Yeah, it's Friday, man. I'm telling you.
It was a startup, right? So it was.
And yeah, so I had a full-time job. I was doing this on the side. And I got a really exciting slap to the face, like the first few months or year in my journey of being an entrepreneur. I got sued by LinkedIn, actually.
Oh my God.
because I thought, it's a whole story. So I thought I'm being smart, and I called the company like Designed In to just make it look like LinkedIn, so that I could use that social aspect of it, because originally it was like a social community for creatives and designers to work and network and gain experience and all that. And when I went through the process of trademarking the name, everything went through. I had a lawyer, like, just find it for $500 on the internet, and he says everything's great, no worries. But towards the final step of the application process, when they publish it, to see any other companies would complain about it or not, LinkedIn realized, and they sent me a lawsuit. It was like that thick, like 5-6 lawyers on it. And it was ridiculous. I mean, I'm a designer, I don't like to read, and then that time was my girlfriend. I'm like, can you just read this over the weekend and tell me, like, what is it, like, what did I do wrong? And then basically realized that, okay, they're saying you cannot register any name that ends with ed and in. So I could have gone to the court and fight it, but didn't have the money to do it, so decided to settle with them. And We actually rebranded, but LinkedIn sent us a beautiful check for giving away the name, which
Really?
actually helped a lot in that time. And nobody knew what is Designity. So I'm
Yeah.
like, let's just change it. And then in the process, we're like, okay, so building a community, design community, let's just go with Designity. And the domain, by the way, was just $12, but I paid for Designity and something around $5,000, which was also ridiculous.
So what will be the future of Designity? What do you think?
So,
Do you have any plan?
Yes, for sure. So, I mean, along the way, we basically saw that, okay, companies or brands want something more than student work. And we basically brought in creative directors to improve the quality of the work so that they would manage or supervise the students. And then eventually, I was actually in a live Instagram with Gary Vee, and I just got somehow
Gary
like up. Yeah,
the famous
and then, he was like, "What's your question? What do you struggle?" I'm like, "Yeah, I can't destabilize like the business model. Like there is a month that we have like so much money, there's so much projects. Next month there's nothing." So he was like, "You're in the wrong business model. You need to make it subscription based." And then that was like an aha moment. Literally just next week, we killed the per projects, turned it into a subscription plan. It started with cheap subscription plan, but eventually we increased it. Then we got a VC fund, which was a small round, but it really helped in terms of the mentorship. And we've been basically doubling our team size and revenue over the past few years, year after year. And to answer finally your question, what's the future plan is that, so the plan is that we wanted to basically build Designity so that anyone who is thinking of design and marketing projects think of Designity as a platform to go. So they can get any type of projects from branding to social media to web design and so on.
Interesting.
So that's the goal. The same way we think about Uber and Airbnb, we want people to think about Designity, and we are right now just focused on the US market, but the goal is to expand it internationally.
Nice.
Yeah.
Recently, I've heard, as you said, now you doubled your number of employees, and I've heard recently that 100 people are working with you for you.
In total, yeah.
How do you manage that many people? And of course, how can you manage or balance your life from work?
Yeah, that's honestly a most difficult part of the business. And once told me, when you wanted to build a business, if you don't know people and you don't know how to deal with people, you cannot build business, because at the end you're dealing with people. And I've learned that in nice and bad ways along the journey so far. So it's especially difficult when you have a lot of creatives and artists and sensitive people around you, I guess, to deal with. But one thing that I guess I really try to communicate and inject every day to our company culture and our leadership style is basically being super honest and transparent about anything, and say it good and bad. So I sometimes laugh with people. I'm like, yeah, my leadership style is just like being fucking honest to your face, whether you like it or not. And it's not always ideal, because we are social people. Like, we don't like to hear things that are not ideal, right? We don't want to hear criticism. And there are times that when you provide feedback, like constructive feedback to someone, they may not like it at the moment. And we had situation that person didn't like it, they left, or they got fired, or they resigned. But 2 years later, they came back and they said, actually, now I understand the situation. And it takes time sometimes. So it's not ideal style of leadership. And
you learn it by yourself? Is that like what you created, or you learn from someone else?
Well, you know, we are coming from a very political country, and everything is politic. And then when I started working for some companies here and there, especially like larger organization, I realized how everything is like politic. Like they hire someone because it's a friend of someone, or they get promoted because they're like a nephew of someone.
Connections.
Or it's just so much politics is happening all the time, and I always hated that. I'm like, this is not really fair. This is supposed to be a business. I understand certain politics, but just acting on it so much. So when it came to a point that we had to have like some sort of like leadership style and company culture and all that, for me it was like, let's avoid politics. Like, tell me good or bad, whether I like it or not, I'm gonna do the same to you guys, and let's keep it that way. So, and it's been great. We have a really, I would say, open door policy that makes it people to not get necessarily offended by hearing the bad things and all that. So it's coming from my own personal experience, I would say.
So you mentioned LinkedIn in the beginning of your business. What is the most valuable lesson you learned from a failure in your journey?
Yeah.
I mean, was that even a failure? To get sick by?
It's a great question. I mean, the thing is, it was a learning experience. I think it was not necessarily a success or failure, because it was failure from a perspective that when I came up with the name and I realized it's available, it was a premium name, and I paid almost $5,000. And I'm talking about the time that I didn't have $1 to pay, necessarily like for a slice of pizza. So I bought that domain on my credit card, right? And it was the biggest mistake from that perspective, to just like as an entrepreneur spend so much money on a name that you don't even know if it's going to work out or not. But from a learning experience is that I think like most of the entrepreneurs get very much excited about the names and the brandings and the visuals on the top, which is good, but everything would change like so fast. And we tend to ignore it and stick to just building that and spend a lot of time and energy on it. And then 6 months later, 2 years later, you realize none of it is even relevant. So the color you chose, the font that you have, the logo that you have. So my advice is don't get distracted by sexy part of starting a business. Do the hard work and like focus on the product selling. That's the most important thing.
So me, like Gen Zs, as a Gen Z, I look at perfection a lot. For example, the business that we're building, I would love everything to be perfect. So according to what you said, would you say perfection is necessary in a business? Especially at first when you start?
First steps that you
initial steps. For example, for branding especially, like to find your color, your style, fonts, and etc.
Yeah. I mean, to be honest, I would say there's no wrong or right to these questions, right? Because yes, you could be that amazing perfectionist and build the next smallest boutique in the world that only takes like 2 projects in a year, but the quality is best of the best, and you only work with the CEO of Ferrari, and that's your only client, right? That's fine. There's nothing wrong with that, right? Or you decide to basically build something that is scalable, and you wanted to pivot along the way, and you need to A/B test, and then being perfectionist is actually slowing you down and becomes a problem. So you need to be able to just move fast. Otherwise, competition is going to eat you in that area. So I think it's just a question to ask from your side. But I'm a perfectionist myself, and I always reminded by my team that, hey, Shahrouz, take it easy. You're just too picky about this. Like, it's okay. We could improve it. I'm like, no, let's just change this as well. Let's just move this a little bit to the right. And then they get mad at me. They're like, you need approvals from Shahrouz again. I'm like, sorry, guys, but I know I'm trying. But I know I heard.
That's what we have fight every day with Born. He tells me, like, you're so picky, man. What you doing? Just pick it, damn thing.
I love picky people, actually. So it's good.
So 2024, oh my God, during the last couple of years, from COVID all the way to open AI, seen so many crazy things happen, especially in US. So what is the best marketing strategy in 2024 for you?
Yeah, I mean, like you said, a lot changed so fastly, right? Like before COVID, it was very difficult for us to convince people, saying, hey, let's, rather than hiring an in-house team and paying them like 80K, 90K, just come get Designity subscription, and then you get a team, you get a creative directors. It's flexible. You could pause, you could cancel, like no commitment. And they're like, yes, but I want my designer to just be next to me and then deliver. I'm like, yes, but it's like, a specialty right now. So you can't have one designer and expect them to do everything. But COVID changed that fundamentally. I think
so it
like
helped you, kind of, for
it
your
helped.
business,
It was a
yeah.
great boost for us actually, and COVID was the best year I feel for us. And then big companies understand in order to get results, it's not necessarily important to just have the person next to you. So, but that was during the COVID, right? Now it's open AI, and instead of I don't know, hiring SEO experts to kind of figure out all the keywords and the things that you wanted to rank for. You set up the prompts and the original like thoughts. You put it in ChatGPT. It gives you 20 topics.
Oh my god!
And SEO friendly. And yes, you need to add a human touch to it, and for sure make it better. So it's all around AI and etc. But I guess like one thing that I really think has been around at least for the past 10 years and will stay probably for, I don't know, the next like 10, 20 years is this video content creation. And there are different ways of doing it, obviously. I think like personal branding is the most important. If you could put your face behind the camera, or if you don't look good and you're scary, just put your voice behind the mic and just produce content. And that way you could just have a community, you could have followers, just share whatever you feel. And organically, I think you could position your business that in a way that could generate a lot of...
I see most of things, it's moving from text-based to visual to videos. And it is
everything's gonna be visuals.
What was that the new OpenAI thing?
Sora, I believe.
What was
Sora.
Sora?
Yeah.
That thing is crazy.
It's a text to video.
Yeah, text to video, and it's
AI
like
model.
super realistic.
I saw like they're just giving
Scary.
drones
Scary
and stuff
good.
as well, drone footage.
Drones.
It's insane,
Like reflections of people in a window. It's
That's
crazy.
gonna be for the beginning. I think that's gonna be the stock footage thing. So it's good. You know, we can use it as a video agency.
I mean, people get panic attacks from like AI stuffs. AI, like new AI
because
models.
it's happening so fast.
They think that it's gonna replace human jobs, but I believe like people, workers, let's say, creative, even artists, since it's an artistical AI model, they can use that to even make cooler stuffs.
Right.
So if you like look at it from another aspect, business aspect, you can make a lot more money than you thought you could make by yourself. So imagine you have another person like working besides you. So
yeah, I mean that's actually one of the questions I get a lot, like especially in our field. It's impacting directly like the creative community, and they're like, oh, we're scared we're gonna lose our job, blah blah blah. I'm like, I honestly don't think you're losing your job, actually, unless you're a really terrible designer that you always like copy paste and still but I think it's a great tool to accelerate actually the process and do things much faster and easier. Like think about video production. Like one of the most time consuming part of video production is writing the script, right?
Sure.
Now with ChatGPT, you could define a persona and then just tell a little bit of story and then have them to write you 2 or 3 script, then add your own elements. So use that as a draft, add your own voice and element to it, make it yours. Now you could generate like 3 contents rather than 1. So it's a great, honestly, it's a very exciting time. It's a very exciting time.
I believe it's going to be another job opportunity even for people who are not like, they don't know what they want to do in like future. They can just learn how to use AI and they can get hired by, I don't know, creative companies, and they can just manage like their AI works, let's say.
It will be new jobs, you know. I mean, like after they invent computers, I mean, like coding, all those new jobs.
There are companies already hiring prompt writer. Like literally just all your job is like write a prompt that gives us a good result over there.
Interesting. What is the funniest or most memorable moment you've experienced while you're running your business? Or anything tragic?
There's been a lot of fun moments. I think LinkedIn lawsuit was definitely one. And the first and only investment that we got was also great. It was a very small round, but it was perfect timing for us because we were at the time that we needed a little boost and also some mentorship to sort of adjust a few things. And along the way, I guess the most exciting thing is just looking at it. I mean, I don't have a kids. I don't know how it feels, honestly, but with Designity, the most exciting thing for me is just like seeing it like growing, like every day and every week. Like literally, just the other week, I was watching a recording of a meeting that the team had, and then I was like, shit, man, like all of these people are just like inside Designity working for us now. Like just, I can't believe it. Like I couldn't believe it like 5-6 years ago that this is going to be just the result of it as a result. And it's just exciting to see that part of it. And I'm just telling you the good parts. There are also a lot of downsides that you kill yourself in the bed with the thoughts and the stress. And so don't get me there. Don't get me there.
So I understand you want to expand your business and you have ideas for the future of Designity. But is there other things that you want to do in life beside Designity? Any other business ideas that you want to share with us? Or anything crazy that you always want to do?
Well, the thing is, I might change my answer if you ask it a year or two from now. But if you're asking the same question from me 2 years ago, I would have said, yes, I also have this idea and that idea and so on. But today, where we are, I really just want to have all my focus on this and build the next big platform for the creative community for the next 3 to 5 years, scale it and exit. And that's my goal. And then I wanted to just use the experience and the knowledge and support other startups. So I honestly don't see, I'm 38 and I've been working my ass off for the past like 10, 15 years, and I just wanted to live a normal life, man. Like, I don't want to just, I don't know, kill myself for financial success or for status. So as much as I made an impact in the community and I'm happy with it, so I think that's enough for me. So I don't see myself starting a new business after this for now. Okay. But let's see.
So you said video, like making like creating a personal brand is very important. On a scale of 1 to 10, how would you say consistent content creation would be important for a business, let's say?
From 1 to 10, I would say 10 for sure. It's super important. I mean, I would even say like 20, because it's I really think when it comes to content creation, it's not necessarily about the quality. It's about consistency and the quantity, because the more content you get out, eventually you're gonna get better and better at it, and then you gonna have like that moment that one of your video is going to go viral. And guess what? If you create like 1,000 video, you just need one to basically like make it into like 1 million video that is just going to be a game changer for you. And it will happen if you do it like constantly.
So why companies should use Designity?
It's a great question. In many times they shouldn't, to be honest. But like one of the reasons from the business perspective is that the problem is that agencies most of the time overpromise and underdeliver, and they charge tons of money for simple requests because of the inefficiency that they have in the system, right? Just look at some of this ad agency that we have in Madison Avenue in New York and so on. So for us, we wanted to sort of create a model that is efficient. You could reduce the cost of getting your creative services. If you wanted to make a video, you don't have to necessarily spend tons of money for it. You could do it in an agile way and faster way, when it comes to animation. It depends on the type of the video, right? If there is actors and so on, it's a little different. I don't want to put you guys like under like anything, but it's just for like explainer animation videos, things like that, right? So one thing for us was to reduce the cost for companies. So companies come to us to reduce the cost. The other thing is to get a team rather than just one individual. Like, just think about it like a surgery room. If you wanted to have a surgery, you don't want just one doctor. Like, you want a team of doctors specialized in different areas, managed or led by one person. And that's what you get with Designity subscription. You basically get a team of creatives, which is faster, much more efficient, and flexible.
So if you could go back to 20-year-old Shahrouz, what advice would you give yourself?
Don't put too much gel on your hair because you're gonna lose your hair. Like, look at Bernard, like he put too much gel on it.
Exactly. I was using wax too.
Oh man. I think it's a difficult question. If you put in the context of business, I think one of the most valuable thing is obviously time. So I would say, like, as a young 20 years old, try whatever you think and you want. Just don't be afraid. From dishing washes to being a taxi driver like me to getting a corporate job, just do it all and figure out what is your passion, like early. Like, the sooner you know that, the better it would be. I think that's my advice to people who wanted to just basically start a business or be entrepreneurs. In general, I think, like, my life advice, if I wanted to say, is like, yes, it's all good, but at the end of the day, it's just work and it's business, and just make sure you do something that you're passionate and you enjoy it regardless of the money, so that, I don't know, if tomorrow you got hit by a bus and you're dead, you don't regret it. You're like, I had a good time. Like, it was fun. Like, I enjoyed the past 2 years that I lived, at least, right? So live your life like that, I would say.
So, like, in general, either lifestyle or financially successful advice, what would you give to 20-year-olds?
I mean, couple of things that I would say is, number one, don't be afraid of failure. Really look at it as a step to success, and don't get discouraged if you're not hitting it for number of times in a row, because number one, I would say, mistakes that many young people make, especially your generation, because you guys have access to tons of things much easier, and you want things very fast. So I feel like after a couple of disappointments or failure, you give up. So I think one thing is just remind yourself, this is the process, and don't give up regardless of the result. Don't change your goal, change your strategy, and go for it over and over and over and over. The moment you stop, it's the time that you failed, in my opinion. So I think that's one thing. The second thing, if you really wanted to be financially successful, I would say really educate yourself about different channels of generating financial success. For instance, in my case, I also, as a broke person, always wanted to be financially successful. And if I tell you that as of now, my biggest source of income is not the company that we are talking about, it's not Designity, is actually a couple of real estate investment that I made. And that's actually working out very well for me. But I learned about, like, foreclosure houses, for instance, and how to buy it and try to flip it and then renovate it and so on. And happened to just get excited about it and did it on the side when I was doing Designity, and it worked out very well, right? It's a safe investment and so on. So I would say learn about it. For you might be something else, right? It would be I don't know, like crypto or stock, and like there are tons of ways to make money. Just learn about them, try them, try to have like a couple of them, not just don't focus on one source of revenue. So that's my advice for financial success.
Fantastic.
think it was a good advice for end of our podcast. Thank you, Shahrouz, for being here.
Thank you.
We really enjoy it.
Learned
you.
a lot.
Thank you, Yunus, again.
Sure. Thank you guys for having me.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We gonna